Hello, everyone, and welcome to the On Planetarium. This is August of 2021, and this month, rather than go through most of the constellations in the sky, we're going to talk about a few planets that you can look for and a very nice meteor shower, one of the best meteor showers of the year. So let's get right into our planetarium program, and we'll start on August 12th. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is the night that the Perseid meteor shower peaks. Now, you may have seen some meteors in the past couple of weeks or so, and that's perfectly fine. The Perseids actually start in about mid-July, but they slowly increase in numbers as we get towards August 12th, and then they'll start to decrease again. So it's not like you can only see these on the night of August 12th. So if we're looking at our western sky, I'd like to show you not only the sun, but you can see some planets here, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and then we have the moon up a little higher there. Now, Mercury is sitting pretty close to where the sun is, so we're not going to see that in our night sky. There's just too much sunlight, even after the sun sets. Mars is a little difficult because it's pretty dim and getting further from us. But as we move things a little lower in the west, we start to lose those planets behind the trees. Luckily, in our planetarium program, we can actually get rid of those trees. So let's clear out our sky, our horizon here, and we can see things a little bit better. So the sun sets very close to 8:30. As you know, the days are getting shorter. And there we have Mercury sitting in the sunlight. If we go a little bit later, about 9 o'clock, we can see Mars getting very low. So let's move ahead, maybe to about 9:15. Now, if you can spot Venus before that, that's great. Go ahead and give it a try. Venus is usually very bright. Now, the moon can be a problem when we're trying to watch for a meteor shower. But this year should be one of the best years possible because the moon will only be a crescent. If we zoom in here, we can see that the moon is just a very small crescent and it will set early. So that will definitely benefit us as we look for the Perseid meteor shower later in the evening. Now, the best time to watch these meteors is after 2 a.m., but we can certainly see meteors before that. In fact, we're set here at 10 p.m. We may actually start to see a few. So the moon is getting very low, and that's a good thing in this case. If we move around to the southern sky, we can still see early in the evening here Scorpius the Scorpion, which has its very nice orangish red star called Antares. And if we move a little further to the south and southeast, coming up, and they will be up all night long, are Saturn and Jupiter. So as we're waiting for the Perseids to kick in and as we're looking around the sky for a few, we can concentrate our telescopes on Jupiter and Saturn. If we look a little closer to Saturn, we can start to see the rings, maybe some of the larger moons of Saturn. But as we zoom in even closer, if you have a nice telescope, even a small backyard telescope, you should be able to see the rings of Saturn and maybe even some of those cloud bands that we see on the planet itself. Right. So with a regular telescope, I would say this would be the view, but seeing that view with your own eyes is very nice. If we were to zoom back out and move over to the planet Jupiter, we could see, even with some binoculars, we could see the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, assuming that none are behind the planet. I'm only seeing 3 right now, 1, 2, and 3. And there we have Jupiter itself with those cloud bands and, of course, those storms on Jupiter. I think I see one of the moons right here. If you're lucky enough to catch it, I thought it was behind the planet, but it's actually in front of the planet. And that is Io. It's casting a shadow down on the planet itself. So with a decent telescope, you may be able to see that. If we back out, the view that most people will see with their backyard telescope might be something like this. You'll see the planet, those bright dots next to it, which of course are the moons, the 4 largest moons. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to see those cloud bands on Jupiter. Now, if we're looking for the Perseid meteor shower, what we would like to do is move around to the north. And they're called the Perseids because the radiant, or the area of the sky where the meteors will appear to come from, are from the constellation Perseus. And Perseus is just starting to come up here around 10 a.m. That's why I mentioned we may start to see a few. And here we have Perseus. And as we go later into the night, Perseus rises higher. And so our opportunities get better and better as we go through the night. So let's say you don't want to get up at 2 in the morning or stay up that late. How about midnight? That's a little bit better. So Perseus is rising higher. And where can you find Perseus? We said the north. Here we have Ursa Major, the Big Bear. We get rid of the picture and just look for the Dipper. Here we have the Big Dipper. And the North Star up in this direction, attached to the Little Dipper. And off to your right, somewhere off to your right, that's where you'll see Perseus. So in the northeastern sky, that's where you want to look. But you know, really, you could see these meteors almost anywhere, but they should appear that they're radiating out of this area of the sky. But as they go across the sky, the best thing to do is to get a blanket or a lounge chair and just lay back and watch. Maybe use your telescope first to look at those planets and then lay back and watch the meteor shower. As I said, Saturn and Jupiter will be up all night long, and they are in they're one of the best positions to be viewed for the summer. As the sun is setting, Jupiter and Saturn will be rising, and so therefore they are up all night long. So we're at midnight, and we're going to move the clock further ahead. 1 in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're starting to see some sunlight. And you can see Saturn and Jupiter are getting ready to set. They've been up there all night long for you to look at while you're waiting for some meteors. And the one last constellation I would like to mention is Orion. Orion is a very popular constellation, but he's a winter constellation. We've talked about this before. So we have not been able to see him all summer long until recently. He's been up very early in the morning. As you can see, this is 5 a.m. and we can see Orion now just rising. But the problem is that the sun is also rising, not far behind, and brightening up the sky, making it difficult to see Orion. So there we have our nice sunrise, and we're off for another warm August day. We hope you enjoyed your tour through the night sky, and I hope you get out to see those Perseid meteors. Thanks again for joining us here at the Yawn Planetarium at Penn State Behrend.